My sister smiled at me across our father's hospital bed the day she convinced him to sign everything over to her. 2 years later, she was standing outside my rented apartment, asking me to save her from losing it all. This is the story of how the forgotten son rebuilt everything his family said he'd never have, and how his own sister lost the empire she stole from him. My name isn't important. Call me Imran, because that's close enough. For 30 years, I was the quiet one. My father built a successful textile business from nothing, and everyone assumed I'd inherit half of it alongside my sister, Sana. But Sana was smarter in a different way. She knew how to be present, how to be loud with affection, how to make herself indispensable while I worked silently in the background, actually running half the operations nobody saw. When my father fell seriously ill, Sana moved into his house. Every single day, she sat by his bed, told him how much I'd abandoned the family, and slowly convinced him I was too distracted with my own business to care about the family's legacy. 2 weeks before he passed away, my father signed a new will. Everything, the house, the business, the properties, went to Sana. I found out at the funeral, standing outside the family home I grew up in, holding flowers nobody asked me to bring. I didn't fight the will. I didn't hire a lawyer. I didn't even argue with Sana at the funeral, though everyone expected me to. I simply walked away, quiet, exactly the way they always underestimated me to be. What nobody knew was that for the last 8 years, I had been quietly building something of my own. While everyone assumed I was just helping with the family textile business, I had actually been studying every mistake my father made, every outdated supplier contract, every inefficient production line, every client relationship he refused to modernize. I started my own small textile export company on the side, using none of the family's money, none of the family's name. I built it alone, slowly, using contacts I'd earned through genuine hard work rather than inherited privilege. By the time Sana took over the family business, I already had 3 international clients my father never even knew existed. I wasn't angry about the will. I was patient. Because I understood something Sana never did. A business built on inherited comfort eventually meets a market that doesn't care whose daughter you are. Sana, meanwhile, made decision after decision built on confidence rather than competence. She fired experienced staff who made her feel small. She rejected supplier deals my father had spent decades building trust on. She believed the business ran itself because it always had, for her. I watched from a distance, quietly growing my own company, waiting for the moment the cracks would show. The cracks came faster than even I expected. Within 18 months, 2 of the family business's biggest clients quietly moved their contracts elsewhere, to smaller, more reliable, more modern exporters. One of those exporters was mine. I never approached those clients directly. I didn't need to. My company had spent years building a reputation for honesty and quality, while Sana's inherited business was falling behind on deadlines and cutting corners to cover rising costs. Word travels fast in this industry. Clients started asking around, and my name kept coming up. By the 2nd year, the family business was drowning in debt Sana never told anyone about. She had taken out loans against the property to cover shortfalls, believing she could recover before anyone noticed. She couldn't. The bank finally issued a formal notice. The family house, the same house I'd been raised in, the same house I was written out of, was now at risk of forced sale unless the loan was repaid within 90 days. That's when Sana showed up at my apartment for the first time in 2 years. She didn't apologize. She didn't acknowledge the will, the funeral, or the 2 years of silence. She simply said, "You have to help me. This is still our family's house." I looked at her, calm, the same way I'd learned to be my entire life around her. "It stopped being my house the day you made sure it wasn't," I said. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I simply told her the truth, the same quiet way I'd always spoken. I told her I wasn't interested in taking revenge, because I had never needed to. I had built something of my own, brick by brick, without a single rupee of the inheritance she fought so hard to secure. While she spent 2 years defending a legacy she didn't understand how to protect, I had spent those same 2 years proving I never needed it in the first place. I did make her one offer. I told her I would buy the property from the bank myself, at fair market value, nothing charitable about it, because I still respected the memory of the man who built it, even if he chose wrong in the end. She accepted. She had no other option. Today, that house belongs to me again. Not through inheritance, not through a will, not through anyone's charity, but through a company I built with my own hands while everyone believed I had nothing. Sana works for a competitor now, in a role far smaller than the empire she once controlled. Karma doesn't always arrive with shouting matches and dramatic confrontations. Sometimes it simply waits patiently in a rented apartment, building silently, until the day the people who underestimated you have nowhere left to go. Subscribe to Baba Revenge Stories for a new story every week.